There are times in life when the truth doesn't just whisper in your ear, it hits you like a ton of bricks. Edgar Cayce, that fascinating and often enigmatic figure, once said that every single soul carries within it this incredible potential: the power to heal, the ability to create, and the capacity to completely transform its own destiny. And yet, tragically, most people wander through life completely oblivious to this power, essentially prisoners of their own doubts, their own fears, and this persistent but ultimately false illusion that they're somehow separate from God, from the divine source of all things. So, what if the answer that you've been desperately searching for, the solution to your struggles, the balm for your pain, the reason why your prayers seem to go unanswered, what if it's been right there inside you all along? What if the real key to transforming your life, to unlocking your full potential, isn't out there somewhere in the external world, but is instead hidden deep within your spirit, just waiting to be awakened, waiting to be recognized and embraced? Cayce revealed through his readings that thoughts are not just ephemeral things that flit through our minds. They are in fact living forces, incredibly potent energies that are capable of either building us up or tearing us down, of creating heaven or hell in our lives. And he went on to say that the mind, when it's aligned with divine law, when it's in harmony with the principles of love and truth, becomes the greatest conduit, the most powerful channel for miracles to occur. This isn't just some airy-fairy theory or some nice-sounding philosophy. This is a fundamental truth, a principle that has been proven time and time again through decades of Cayce's readings that healed countless bodies, restored faith in seemingly hopeless situations, and brought a guiding light to lives that were lost in the darkest of shadows. So listen closely, because once you truly understand what Cayce was trying to convey, once you grasp the essence of his message, your life may never be the same again. Before we dive deeper, I want to ask you something. Do you, deep down, truly believe that your thoughts have the power to shape, to mold, to literally change your reality? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Edgar Cayce himself never claimed to be a prophet, never sought to elevate himself or gain personal acclaim. Yet the profound truths that flowed through him, the wisdom that he channeled, resonated with an authority, with a sense of timelessness, as if they were echoes from eternity, whispers from the very heart of creation. He revealed that every single human being possesses two fundamental powers, two opposing forces within them: the power to destroy and the power to create. The destructive force rears its head, it gains dominance, when we live disconnected from our source, when we lose sight of our divine nature. This is when fear, unchecked pride, or corrosive resentment are allowed to control our thoughts, to dictate our actions. But the creative force, that incredible potential for good, awakens when the mind becomes one with the spirit, when we consciously choose to align ourselves with the divine. It's when we begin to live as Christ lived, with unwavering faith, with the profound understanding that all things are possible to those who believe, to those who dare to tap into the infinite power that resides within. According to Cayce, the very fabric of the universe itself is built on thought. Every planet spinning in its orbit, every atom buzzing with energy, every single cell in your body vibrates with the energy of the divine idea, the original blueprint that gave it form and sustains it. That means your thoughts are not just random occurrences, fleeting mental events. They are, in fact, seeds, potent seeds that are planted in the fertile ground of your consciousness. And sooner or later, inevitably, they will bear fruit in your life, manifesting as the circumstances and experiences you encounter. When Cayce spoke of transformation, he wasn't referring to some vague, nebulous, mystical change or some fleeting emotional experience. He was talking about an exact spiritual law, a fundamental principle that governs reality. To put it simply, spirit is the life force, the underlying energy. Mind is the builder, the architect that shapes that energy. And the physical is the result, the manifestation of what has been built in the unseen realms. In other words, everything that you are experiencing right now, every aspect of your life, whether you perceive it as positive or negative, began in your thoughts. And those thoughts, in turn, were shaped by the state of your soul, by your overall level of consciousness. The sickness, the persistent confusion, the gnawing feeling of emptiness that so many people carry around with them, these are not punishments sent down from some wrathful God. They are signals from within, urgent messages from your own soul, urging you to return to the divine harmony that you've somehow lost, to realign yourself with your true nature. Cayce taught that the physical body is merely a mirror, a reflection of the soul's condition. If the soul is in turmoil, racked by fear or doubt, the body will inevitably react, manifesting symptoms of disease or dis-ease. But when the soul remembers its origin, when it reconnects with its divine source in God, healing begins to occur not only in the flesh, but in the entire structure of your being, in your mind, your emotions, and your spirit. He believed that prayer, when done with sincerity and heartfelt intention, is the most powerful vibration that exists. Not the kind of rote prayer that simply repeats empty words or recites memorized phrases, but the kind of prayer that lifts your heart, that elevates your consciousness to the point where you truly feel the presence of Christ within you, the living spirit of divine love. Cayce emphasized that Jesus was not some distant, unattainable figure to be admired from afar, someone separate from us, someone to whom we can never aspire. He was, in fact, the pattern, the blueprint for every soul, the ultimate example of what is possible for human beings. To live like him, to embody his teachings, means to awaken the same divine potential that is sleeping, dormant, inside you, waiting to be activated. The Christ Spirit, that radiant energy of love and compassion, is not just a metaphor or a symbolic concept. It's the real, tangible connection between the human and the divine, the invisible bridge through which healing, wisdom, and profound peace flow into our lives. When you think, "I am nothing," when you succumb to feelings of worthlessness or inadequacy, you effectively block the light. You cut yourself off from the flow of divine energy. But when you consciously affirm, "God is within me," when you recognize your own inherent divinity, you begin to create a new world around you, a world filled with possibilities, with love, and with the manifestation of your highest potential. Cayce often reminded his followers that transformation, that profound shift in consciousness, begins in the smallest of acts, in the seemingly insignificant moments of everyday life. Every loving thought that you entertain, every conscious choice for forgiveness that you make, every moment of patience that you cultivate, plants a seed of light in your soul, nurturing its growth. He said that when you send out love, even to those who have hurt you, even to those who seem undeserving, you change the vibration of your entire environment. You become a conduit, a channel for the healing energy of God to flow through you, touching everything and everyone around you. That's why the greatest power you possess, the most potent force at your disposal, is not your accumulated knowledge, your financial resources, or your social status. It's your consciousness, the way you choose to think and feel in every moment, the attitude you bring to every experience. And that, according to Cayce, is the secret of life, the key to unlocking your full potential. Because once you master your inner world, once you gain control over your thoughts and emotions, the outer world can no longer enslave you. It becomes a reflection of your inner state, a canvas upon which you can paint your dreams. If you're watching this right now, perhaps something inside you is already beginning to awaken, a stirring, a subtle shift in awareness. Perhaps you're experiencing the silent realization that your life is not meant to be ordinary, that you're not here to simply go through the motions. You are created, each and every one of you, to be a co-creator with God, to actively participate in the unfolding of creation. And the moment you truly accept that profound truth, everything begins to change. Your relationships, your physical health, your sense of purpose, all begin to align with the higher vibration of love, with the divine blueprint for your life. But it all starts with a conscious choice, a decision to believe that the Spirit of Christ, that radiant energy of divine love, lives within you, and to live your life according to that truth, to embody that Spirit in all that you do. No matter what the world says, no matter what doubts may creep into your mind, take a deep breath and really think about this. Every thought you release today, every intention you set, is actively shaping the tomorrow you will live. Every feeling you nurture, Every emotion you cultivate is building the world around you, creating the reality you will experience. Are you building in fear, constructing a world of limitation and scarcity? Or are you building in faith, creating a reality filled with abundance, joy, and limitless possibilities? Because one path inevitably leads to destruction, to stagnation, and the other leads to resurrection, to transformation, and the fulfillment of your highest potential. If you're resonating with this message, if something deep inside you is stirring, take a moment right now to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more empowering content, and leave a comment below, sharing what part of Cayce's message resonates most deeply with your heart. Your reflection, your insights, might be exactly what someone else needs to read today, the spark that ignites their own journey of transformation. Cayce explained that the true battle of life, the real struggle, is not fought in the external world in the realm of physical challenges and material obstacles. It's fought in the invisible territory of the mind, in the realm of thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. Every thought is a vibration, a distinct frequency that resonates with the universe, and every vibration, according to the law of attraction, attracts what is similar to itself. When you think with anger, with hatred, or with resentment, you align yourself with forces of chaos, with energies of destruction. But when you think with love, with compassion, and with forgiveness, you align yourself with divine order, with the creative forces of the universe. That's why he insisted that the greatest prayer is not spoken, not simply uttered as a string of words. It is lived, embodied through our attitudes, our reactions, and our ability to forgive, to release ourselves and others from the bondage of negativity. He said that the law of cause and effect, that fundamental principle of the universe, doesn't just operate in the physical world, in the realm of tangible actions and visible consequences. It operates in the realm of thought as well, perhaps even more powerfully. What you send out in feeling, what you emanate from your heart, returns to you multiplied, amplified by the very fabric of reality. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "As you sow, so shall you reap." The difference is that Cayce showed us how this law works, even in the unseen, in the subtle realms of thought and emotion. Thoughts are the seeds, the initial spark of creation. Emotions are the water that nourishes those seeds, allowing them to grow. And actions are the harvest, the inevitable manifestation of what has been sown and nurtured. In his readings, Cayce often repeated that illness begins in the mind long before it manifests in the body. A person who feeds on resentment, who harbors fear, or who indulges in self-pity is essentially poisoning their inner vibration, creating a fertile ground for disease to take root. But the one who practices forgiveness, who blesses those around them, and who engages in heartfelt prayer, creates a frequency that attracts healing, that resonates with the life-giving forces of the universe. He said that the cells of the body respond to our mental attitude, just as plants respond to sunlight. When we think in harmony with divine love, when we align our thoughts with the principles of compassion and forgiveness, every part of our being begins to vibrate in rhythm with that same love, creating a state of wholeness and well-being. That is why some people experience spontaneous healing after prayer, why miraculous recoveries sometimes occur against all odds. It's not a miracle in the sense of a violation of the laws of nature. It's the rediscovery of those laws, the conscious alignment with the principles that govern the universe. The Spirit of Christ is the purest vibration that exists, the ultimate expression of divine love. And when the human mind becomes one with it, when we consciously choose to embody that spirit, nothing remains the same. Old patterns dissolve, limiting beliefs crumble, and a new reality begins to unfold. Cayce taught that the path to transformation requires discipline of the mind, a conscious effort to cultivate positive thoughts and emotions. Just as we train the body through exercise, strengthening our muscles and improving our physical fitness, the mind must be trained through meditation and prayer, through practices that help us to focus our attention and align ourselves with the divine. But meditation, according to Cayce, was not about escaping the world or retreating into some isolated state of bliss. It was about entering the presence of God within, about connecting with the divine source that resides in the depths of our being. He said that each morning, Before speaking a word or engaging with the external world, a person should turn inward, should quiet their mind and affirm, "Father, use me as a channel of thy love today." That single intention, that heartfelt commitment to service, if done with sincerity and devotion, begins to purify the mind, to clear away the debris of negativity and open the way for divine guidance. He warned that people fail spiritually, not because they lack faith or because they are inherently flawed, but because they fail to apply that faith in the ordinary moments of life, in the mundane challenges of everyday existence. It's easy to feel spiritual in a quiet sanctuary or a beautiful natural setting, but true mastery is tested in traffic jams, in disagreements with loved ones, in moments of waiting and disappointment. It's in those seemingly insignificant moments that we have the opportunity to practice patience, compassion, and forgiveness, to embody the Spirit of Christ in our daily lives. According to Cayce, when Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is within you," he was describing a spiritual reality, not just offering a comforting metaphor. Heaven is not a distant place, a reward waiting for us after death. It is a state of consciousness, a way of being in the world in which the soul vibrates in perfect harmony with divine law, in which we are aligned with the principles of love, truth, and compassion. Hell, on the other hand, is the state of being separated from that law, living in fear, guilt, and confusion, cut off from our divine source. He said that we visit both states many times in one lifetime, depending on how we choose to think, feel, and act. The moment we choose forgiveness over judgment, the moment we release ourselves and others from the bondage of negativity, we enter heaven for that instant. We experience a taste of that divine harmony. But the moment we allow hatred or envy to dominate our thoughts, the moment we succumb to anger or resentment, we fall back into the lower vibration of separation, into the state of hell. But no one is trapped forever. Every soul can rise again, can reclaim its divine inheritance, the moment it remembers who it truly is, a child of the infinite, a spark of the divine. And this is where faith becomes a force stronger than logic, a power that can transform reality. Cayce believed that when we hold unwavering faith in God, even when all appearances say otherwise, even when circumstances seem bleak and hopeless, we align ourselves with a higher reality, with a deeper truth that will eventually manifest in our lives. Faith is not denial of what is happening, a refusal to acknowledge the challenges we face. It's the awareness that there is something greater happening beyond what we can see, that there is a divine plan unfolding, even when we cannot understand it. When you say, "Thy will be done," and truly mean it, when you surrender your own ego-driven desires to the guidance of divine intelligence, you open the door for miracles to occur, you allow the universe to conspire on your behalf. That's when coincidences begin to happen, when you meet the right people at the right time, when solutions appear that logic alone could never create, when doors open that seemed previously impenetrable. Cayce called this the law of attunement, the alignment of your soul with the universal mind of God, the conscious effort to harmonize your vibration with the divine frequency. And once that connection is restored, once you are in tune with the source, your life starts reflecting a peace that no external circumstance can destroy, a sense of inner stability that remains unshaken by the storms of life. He often told those who came to him seeking answers, those who were searching for healing and guidance, that the real healing they needed was not in the body, not in the alleviation of physical symptoms, but in the heart, in the transformation of their inner world. He said, "No one can truly be healed until they forgive, until they release the bitterness and resentment that are poisoning their soul." Forgiveness, according to Cayce, was not a sign of weakness, not a passive acceptance of wrongdoing. It was the conscious decision to stop feeding the energy of darkness, to break free from the cycle of pain and suffering. It was releasing another person from your mental prison, freeing them from your judgment, so that you could finally be free yourself. He reminded people that Jesus, even while hanging on the cross suffering unimaginable pain, prayed for those who were persecuting him, those who were responsible for his suffering. That was not a story of pain and victimhood. It was the ultimate demonstration of divine mastery, the embodiment of unconditional love. To forgive while suffering is to mirror the consciousness of Christ, to align yourself with the highest vibration of love and compassion. For Edgar Cayce, Jesus Christ was not only the Savior of humanity, a unique and exceptional being, but the ultimate example of what the human soul can become, the embodiment of our highest potential. He said that the Christ consciousness is the goal of every incarnation, the ultimate aim of our journey through life, the state in which the soul fully remembers its divine origin, its connection to the source of all being. Cayce explained that each lifetime is an opportunity to correct the imbalances of past choices, to learn from our mistakes, and evolve towards greater love and understanding. Reincarnation is not a punishment, but an education for the soul, a chance to grow and develop our divine potential. Every experience, whether of joy or suffering, is a lesson designed to awaken divine understanding within us, to help us to recognize our true nature and align ourselves with the principles of love and truth. He described reincarnation not as a strange or esoteric belief, but as the expression of God's infinite mercy, giving the soul countless chances to grow into perfect love, to heal its wounds and fulfill its divine destiny. And he warned that spiritual growth without Christ, without embodying the principles of love and compassion that he exemplified, is ultimately impossible, because the Christ vibration is the pattern, the template through which all souls evolve, the energy that guides us towards our highest potential. When Cayce spoke of Jesus, he did not see him only as the man of Galilee, the historical figure who lived 2,000 years ago, but as the living channel of the universal Christ, the embodiment of divine love in human form. He said that Jesus reached the state of perfect unity with God, showing humanity the way back home, demonstrating the path to enlightenment and self-realization. Follow the pattern he gave, Cayce would say, meaning live in love, act with compassion, and never separate your daily life from your spiritual purpose. Integrate your faith into every aspect of your existence, making every action a reflection of your divine nature. For him, the resurrection was not only a historic event, a one-time occurrence that happened in the past. It was a symbol of what happens inside each of us when the lower nature dies, when we transcend our ego-driven desires and limiting beliefs, and the divine self awakens when we recognize our true potential and embrace our divine inheritance. When you rise above fear, pride, or selfishness, when you choose love over hate, you experience your own resurrection. You are reborn into a new state of consciousness. That's why Cayce insisted that salvation is not something that happens after death, a reward waiting for us in the afterlife. It begins now, in this very moment, every time you choose light over darkness, humility over arrogance, and truth over illusion. Every conscious choice to align yourself with divine love is a step towards salvation, a step towards realizing your true potential. He described prayer and meditation as bridges between the human and the divine, pathways through which we can connect with the source of all being. In prayer, we speak to God, expressing our gratitude, our desires, and our intentions. In meditation, we listen, quieting our minds and opening ourselves to divine guidance. Cayce urged everyone to practice silence daily, to find moments of stillness in the midst of the chaos of life, because only in stillness can we truly feel the voice of the Spirit guiding us, the inner wisdom that resides within us. He said that most people seek God in churches or sacred places, in external rituals and religious practices, but forget that the real temple is within, that the divine presence resides in the depths of their own being. Your body is the temple of the living God, a sacred vessel that should be treated with reverence and respect. That means everything you think, everything you eat, and everything you do becomes a form of worship, a reflection of your relationship with the divine. To treat others with kindness, to extend compassion and understanding, is to honor that divine temple, to recognize the sacredness of every human being. To criticize or hate, to indulge in negativity and judgment, is to desecrate that temple, to dishonor the divine presence within yourself and others. Each act of love is a step toward God, while every thought of fear builds another wall of separation, distancing you from your true nature. For Cayce, the words of Jesus, "Seek first the kingdom of God and all things will be added to you," were not just a poetic promise, a comforting sentiment to ease our fears. They were a fundamental law of the universe, a principle that governs reality. He explained that when we align ourselves with divine purpose, when we dedicate our lives to serving others and embodying the principles of love and truth, even our material needs begin to harmonize our lives, fall into alignment with the divine plan. Prosperity, health, fulfilling relationships all are reflections of inner order, the outward manifestation of our alignment with the source. But when we live driven by ego and fear, when we are consumed by selfish desires and limiting beliefs, the outer world inevitably falls into disorder, reflecting the chaos within. That is why he taught that true success must begin in the spirit, that inner transformation is the key to unlocking outer abundance. You cannot attract abundance while living in mental poverty, while harboring thoughts of scarcity and limitation. You cannot find peace while feeding the vibration of worry, while constantly dwelling on fear and uncertainty. The transformation begins when the soul finally surrenders its illusions of control, when it releases its grip on the need to manage and manipulate every aspect of life, and says, "Father, guide me," when we humbly acknowledge our dependence on the divine and open ourselves to divine guidance. That surrender is not weakness, not a sign of failure. It is the moment of greatest strength, the turning point where we reconnect the human will with divine will, where we align ourselves with the power of the universe. Cayce also spoke of vibration as the language of the soul, the means by which we communicate with the divine and create our reality. He said that every word, every emotion, even every thought, carries a frequency that either brings us closer to or further from God, that either aligns us with the forces of creation or the forces of destruction. When we speak with anger, when we unleash torrents of negativity, we send out waves of destruction, creating chaos and disharmony in our lives and the lives of others. When we speak with love, when we offer words of encouragement and support, we send out healing, creating harmony and well-being. That's why he urged people to guard their words and intentions carefully, to be mindful of the energy they are putting out into the world. He explained that Christ healed not because of some supernatural power, some magical ability that was unique to him, but because his vibration was pure love, so pure that disease could not exist in its presence, so powerful that it could dissolve negativity and restore wholeness. And that same energy, that same potential for healing, lies dormant in every soul, waiting to be awakened through forgiveness and compassion, waiting to be activated by our conscious choice to align ourselves with divine love. The more we live in harmony with divine principles, the more our own vibration begins to mirror that of Christ, the more we embody the qualities of love, compassion, and forgiveness. This is why Cayce called the teachings of Jesus the highest therapy known to man, the most effective means of healing and transforming our lives. To love your neighbor, to bless those who curse you, to pray for your enemies. These are not just moral suggestions, pious platitudes designed to make us feel good. They are spiritual mechanics, powerful tools for changing your frequency, for rebuilding your energy field, and for attracting divine grace into your life. He taught that every thought of mercy heals you as much as it heals the one you forgive, that every act of compassion benefits both the giver and the receiver. Every time you choose patience instead of anger, every time you respond to negativity with love, your cells remember that vibration. Your body becomes a living prayer, a testament to the power of divine love. Over time, this inner transformation, this conscious alignment with the principles of love and truth, creates a life that no darkness can penetrate, a state of being that is impervious to negativity and fear. If this message is touching you, if you're feeling a resonance deep within your soul, take a moment right now to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us what part of Cayce's wisdom reminds you of Christ's love in your own life, how his teachings inspire you to embody compassion and forgiveness, because your reflection could be the seed of healing for someone else who's listening, the inspiration that ignites their own journey of transformation. Edgar Cayce often reminded people that miracles are not interruptions of natural law, not violations of the established order of the universe. They are the perfect expression of it, the natural consequence of aligning ourselves with the principles of love and truth. What we call a miracle is simply what happens when a human being aligns with divine order, when we harmonize our vibration with the frequency of the universe. He said that the laws of God are as precise and unwavering as the laws of physics, that they operate with unfailing consistency. When the mind is pure, when the heart is sincere, and when the will is surrendered to God, what appears impossible becomes inevitable. The miraculous becomes the natural outcome of our alignment with the divine. That's why Jesus could say, "According to your faith, be it unto you," emphasizing the power of belief in shaping our reality. Faith is the key that unlocks those higher laws, the catalyst that allows us to tap into the infinite potential of the universe. Cayce explained that the same power that allowed Christ to heal the sick, to raise the dead, to perform seemingly impossible feats, is within each of us, waiting to be awakened and utilized. But most people never awaken it because they doubt their own divinity, because they fail to recognize the spark of the divine that resides within them. He said that doubt is the real disease of the soul, the barrier that keeps heaven from manifesting on earth, the limiting belief that prevents us from realizing our full potential. To Cayce, thought was creative substance, a tangible energy that shapes our reality. He compared it to an electrical current charged with divine energy, a potent force that can be harnessed to create either heaven or hell in our lives. Every idea we hold long enough, every belief we cling to, begins to attract conditions to make it real, to manifest in our experiences. When we think in fear, when we dwell on negative possibilities, we magnetize fear, attracting circumstances that confirm our anxieties. When we think in faith, when we focus on positive outcomes, we magnetize blessing, attracting opportunities and experiences that align with our highest aspirations. He insisted that this is not just fantasy or wishful thinking. It is the same principle that Jesus used when he multiplied the loaves, calmed the storm, and healed the sick. In every case, the external world conformed to his inner certainty of God's presence, his unwavering belief in the power of divine love. That's why Cayce urged everyone to train their thoughts as carefully as they train their actions, to be mindful of the seeds they are planting in the fertile ground of their consciousness. He said, "Keep the ideal before you always. Let it be Christ," meaning let the principles of love, compassion, and forgiveness guide your thoughts and actions, aligning yourself with the divine blueprint for your life. Then, even when you fall short, even when you stumble and make mistakes, your direction remains true, your ultimate goal remains in sight, because perfection is not demanded, flawless performance is not the requirement. Persistence is the unwavering commitment to keep striving towards your highest potential, to keep aligning yourself with the divine. He described the mind as a lens between the soul and the physical world, a filter through which divine light is either distorted or amplified. When the lens is clouded by fear or pride, when our thoughts are contaminated by negativity, the divine light becomes distorted, creating a distorted reality. But when the lens is cleansed through prayer and meditation, when we purify our minds and align ourselves with the divine, the light shines clearly, and our lives begin to reflect it, radiating peace, joy, and abundance. He often told those who suffered, those who were burdened by pain and hardship, "Do not ask that your problems disappear. Ask that you see them as God sees them," emphasizing the importance of shifting our perspective, of viewing our challenges through the lens of divine love. This change in perception transforms despair into purpose, turns suffering into a catalyst for growth. Pain becomes a teacher, a guide that leads us towards deeper understanding. Loss becomes a purification, a process of releasing what no longer serves us and making room for new blessings. Cayce said that some of the greatest souls on earth are those who have suffered the most, those who have faced the greatest challenges and overcome the most difficult obstacles, because pain breaks the shell of ego, shattering our illusions of control and allowing compassion to be born, fostering empathy and understanding for the suffering of others. Suffering, when met with faith, becomes the fire that shapes the soul into its divine pattern, molding us into beings of greater love, wisdom, and resilience. In one of his readings, he explained that every thought of fear creates a shadow in the aura, a vibration that attracts more of the same energy, creating a cycle of negativity and limitation. But every thought of gratitude releases light that dissolves those shadows, illuminating our path and attracting blessings into our lives. He taught that gratitude is the highest form of prayer because it assumes the presence of God even before the blessing arrives, because it acknowledges the abundance that already exists in our lives, even in the midst of challenges. When you thank God for healing before it happens, when you express gratitude for blessings that are yet to manifest, you declare that your faith is stronger than your sight, that you believe in the power of divine love to transform your reality. And that declaration changes everything. It's the same energy that made the blind see and the paralyzed walk. Not magic, not supernatural intervention, but faith in motion, the active embodiment of divine love in our thoughts, words, and actions. Cayce also warned that we cannot receive divine help while clinging to bitterness or guilt, while holding on to resentment and negativity. The Spirit of God flows where there is peace, where there is harmony, where there is love. He said, "You cannot fill a cup already full," emphasizing the need to empty ourselves of pride, resentment, and fear so that divine grace can enter, so that we can open ourselves to the flow of divine love. Many people came to him asking why their prayers went unanswered, why they felt disconnected from God, why they were unable to manifest the blessings they desired. And his response was always the same: cleanse the temple within, purify your thoughts and emotions, release the negativity that is blocking the flow of divine energy. Until the heart forgives, until the mind releases anger, the higher vibration cannot dwell there. The divine presence cannot fully manifest in your life. But once forgiveness takes place, once you sincerely bless those who have hurt you, a door opens, a channel is cleared. Energy begins to move, releasing stagnant emotions and creating space for new possibilities. Healing follows, restoring wholeness and balance to your being. Cayce called this the return of the prodigal soul, the journey back to our divine source, the process of reclaiming our inherent divinity. Every human being has wandered far from the source, lost in illusions of control, trapped in cycles of greed or resentment, squandering their divine energy in pursuits that ultimately leave them empty and unfulfilled. But the moment we decide to return, the moment we choose to surrender to the Father's love, to embrace our divine inheritance, heaven runs to meet us halfway, showering us with grace and support. That image, he said, is not just symbolic, a comforting metaphor to ease our fears. It is spiritual truth, a reflection of the fundamental principles that govern the universe. The universe itself conspires to lift you when your intention is pure, when your heart is aligned with divine love. Angels, unseen forces, and souls of light move toward you when your heart vibrates in harmony with God, offering guidance, support, and assistance along your path. This is why the humble are exalted and the proud fall, why those who seek to serve are uplifted, and those who seek only to dominate are ultimately brought down. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, devaluing your worth or diminishing your potential. It is remembering that you are part of something infinitely greater, that you are connected to the source of all being, and that your true power comes from aligning yourself with that source. When Cayce was asked what the greatest virtue of all is, the quality that is most essential for spiritual growth and transformation, he answered without hesitation, love. Because love is the vibration that created the world, the fundamental energy that sustains all of creation, and it is the only energy that will endure beyond it, the only force that transcends time and space. He said that every act of love echoes eternally in the soul, creating ripples of positivity that spread throughout the universe. The kindness you give to a stranger, the prayer you whisper for someone in pain, the forgiveness you offer when you could easily condemn. These are the real miracles, the tangible expressions of divine love in human form. They transform the invisible world first, shifting the energy and creating new possibilities, and eventually they reshape the physical one, manifesting in healing, abundance, and harmonious relationships. Cayce said that the greatest discovery a person can make, the most profound realization we can come to, is realizing that God has never been outside of them, that the divine presence is not something we need to search for in external sources. We spend years searching for signs, for miracles, for voices from heaven, seeking validation from external authorities. Yet the divine whisper is already within our hearts, the inner guidance that is always available to us when we quiet our minds and open our hearts. He explained that the soul is like a tuning fork, a sensitive instrument that vibrates in response to the energy around it. When we focus our mind on God, when we direct our attention towards the divine, our vibration rises until it matches the frequency of divine love, until we are in harmony with the source of all being. In that moment, we experience peace, a sense of inner tranquility that transcends the chaos of the external world. Not because life has become perfect, not because all our problems have magically disappeared, but because our spirit is in harmony with the source, because we are grounded in the unwavering presence of divine love. This inner peace, he said, is the real evidence of spiritual progress, the tangible sign that we are moving closer to our divine potential. It's the silent knowing that no matter what happens around you, no matter what challenges you face, God's presence remains constant within you, an unwavering source of strength and guidance. That, according to Cayce, is salvation, not an escape from the world, not a rejection of our earthly existence, but a transformation within it, a conscious choice to embody divine love in all that we do. He warned, however, that awakening to God's presence does not exempt anyone from challenge, that enlightenment is not a guarantee of an easy life. On the contrary, those who walk closer to the light often face greater tests, for the soul must prove that it can carry divine truth through human experience, that it can maintain its integrity and compassion even in the face of adversity. These trials are not punishments, not karmic retribution for past misdeeds, but initiations, opportunities for growth and spiritual development. Each difficulty offers a chance to respond as Christ would, with patience, humility, and forgiveness, to embody the qualities of divine love in challenging circumstances. Cayce taught that the measure of spiritual maturity is not how much knowledge you possess, not how many scriptures you have memorized, but how you treat others when you are tested, how you respond to adversity, and how you embody the principles of love and compassion in your daily life. The one who can bless while suffering, the one who can serve without recognition, the one who can trust when nothing makes sense, has already found the kingdom within, has already realized their divine potential. He explained that the Christ vibration is not an emotion, not a fleeting feeling of warmth or goodwill. It is a state of being, a deep and abiding connection with the source of all love, a condition where the soul becomes transparent enough for God's love to shine through, illuminating the world around it. Heaven feels so much closer. Life stops feeling like such a constant uphill battle and instead transforms into a journey filled with opportunities for service, overflowing with gratitude and inspiring genuine awe. You start to recognize a divine pattern, even in situations that once seemed utterly chaotic and senseless. And as you reflect back on your life, you come to the profound realization that every single pain you endured, every frustrating delay you encountered, and every seemingly unanswered prayer was actually an integral part of a much grander design, all lovingly guiding you towards your ultimate home. If this message deeply resonates within your soul, I encourage you to pause for just a moment and truly feel the undeniable truth of it settle into your heart. You are intrinsically connected to God. You never have been, nor will you ever be, truly separate. The very same life-giving spirit that spoke so powerfully through Cayce, that resided fully within Christ, and that continues to sustain the countless stars in the vast expanse of the cosmos, is also gently breathing through you, right here and right now. Allow that profound awareness to guide your thoughts, inform your decisions, and deepen the way you love and interact with others. Because once you begin to live in true harmony with that divine spirit, fear will gradually begin to lose its grip on you and its power over your life. Even death itself will lose its sharp sting, and what will ultimately remain is the experience of eternal life, already vibrantly alive deep within you. Take a moment to show some love to this video by giving it a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content. And please share in the comments section how this message has touched your faith journey today. Your very own words might be the spark that inspires another soul to rediscover their own unique and precious connection with God. In his later readings, Edgar Cayce unveiled a beautiful truth, that the story of humanity is not about a fall from grace, but rather a long and winding journey of remembering who we truly are. He shared that every soul begins its existence in perfect unity with God, radiant and limitless, and overflowing with creative power. But in order to truly and deeply understand the profound nature of love, the soul must experience the illusion of separation, the gift of free will, and the often painful consequences of its own choices. That descent into the realm of matter, with all its inherent suffering and confusion, is not a form of punishment, but rather a crucial form of education and soul growth. Through countless lifetimes filled with struggle, failure, forgiveness, and dedicated service to others, the soul gradually awakens, bit by bit, to its own divine origin and nature. Cayce explained that even those individuals who seem utterly lost in darkness are never truly beyond the possibility of redemption, because deep within every single heart, no matter how clouded it may seem, there burns the same unquenchable spark of Christ's light. It might be buried beneath layers of fear or hatred, but it can never truly be extinguished. Sooner or later, every soul in its own time turns its face homeward. He described death not as a final ending, but as a continuation, a gentle return to the dimension where thought and spirit are one and the same. According to Cayce's teachings, when we leave the physical body behind, we do not face some sort of eternal judgment handed down by an external authority, but rather a profound moment of self-revelation. We see the complete and unvarnished picture of what our own thoughts and actions have created throughout our lifetime. There is no external punishment inflicted upon us. The soul simply experiences the reality that it has, in essence, built for itself. Those who have lived their lives in harmony with love and compassion dwell in realms of light and peace. Those who have lived in selfishness or cruelty find themselves in planes of confusion, until they learn once again to choose love as their guiding principle. It is all part of God's infinite mercy, a process of purification that ultimately leads every single being back to the divine source. No soul is ever forgotten, no mistake is truly final, no darkness is truly permanent. The ultimate purpose of our existence, he said, is to remember God through our lived experiences, to become a conscious and active expression of divine love in the world. Cayce firmly believed that the ultimate destiny of humanity is far more magnificent than we can possibly imagine. He saw visions of a future time when people will no longer worship God as someone distant and removed, but will instead live as vibrant, living temples of His Spirit. Technology, science, and religion will finally unite when humanity collectively understands that all truth, in its essence, is God's truth. Healing will no longer be seen as a rare exception, but as the natural and inevitable result of minds attuned to the divine vibration. Nations will no longer seek to conquer one another. Instead, they will cooperate and collaborate, guided by the deep awareness that the same loving Creator dwells within every single heart. That future, he said, is not just a fanciful dream. It is the inevitable and unfolding evolution of the soul. Every prayer we offer, every act of kindness we perform, and every sincere effort we make to live by Christ's example accelerates that beautiful destiny. The world will truly change when individuals change from within. Heaven will finally appear on earth when the kingdom of God is established within our own hearts and minds. He urged everyone to live each day as if eternity depended on each and every thought, because in a very real sense it does. You are co-creators with God, he said, and the universe responds directly to your consciousness. That means that even your smallest act of faith has profound and far-reaching cosmic consequences. A gentle word spoken in kindness, a quiet prayer offered in sincerity, a single act of compassion extended to another being. All of these actions ripple outwards through the spiritual fabric of reality, blessing countless souls that you may never even meet. This is how creation continues, moment by moment, through awakened and loving hearts. Cayce said that even one single person living in full and conscious awareness of God's presence brings light to 1,000 others who still find themselves walking in darkness. That is why the life of one soul, however humble it may seem, matters beyond measure. The secret that Cayce revealed is not hidden away in complex mysticism or obscure mystery. It is remarkably simple. God is love, and you are made in His image. When you think, feel, and act from that foundational truth, you become a living channel of divine energy. Every thought becomes a prayer, every step becomes an act of service, and every breath becomes a hymn of creation. You begin to see Christ not only in churches or sacred scriptures, but in the eyes of every single person you meet, the suffering, the stranger, the friend. You realize that heaven was never just some distant place to be reached after death. It is a state of consciousness to be awakened to right here and right now. And maybe, just maybe, that's what Cayce wanted most for us to understand. That the true transformation of the world begins when a single soul remembers its own divine origin and decides to live accordingly. Not by preaching or forcing their beliefs on others, but by quietly and consistently embodying the light that heals. Because light does not argue with darkness, it simply shines. If this truth has deeply touched you, I encourage you to let it continue to grow within you. Show some love to this video by giving it a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, and write in the comments one realization that has awakened within you today. Your words might just be the spark that helps another soul remember who they really are. A child of the infinite, guided, loved, and never truly alone.